Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling the 16.8 intermittent fasting method. That's 16 hours of fasting followed by an 8-hour window for eating. It certainly gained a lot of attention. Seems like a pretty straightforward way to structure your meals.
That's right. And our goal in this deep dive is really to, get under the hood of this 16.8 approach. We want to understand what it is, explore the potential upside, the benefits you might see, and also, importantly, highlight some things to think about before you jump in. We've pulled together insights from quite a bit of research here.
Yeah, it feels like we're maybe moving away from just focusing on restrictive diets and more towards understanding these fundamental eating patterns, doesn't it?
I think so.
There's this sense with 16.8 that it could potentially unlock more energy, maybe sharper focus, and, well, perhaps even a healthier relationship with food. So let's start at the beginning. What are the actual mechanics of this 16.8 rhythm?
Okay, so essentially the 16.8 method creates a daily cycle. You've got a 16-hour period where you don't consume any calories. During this time, you typically stick to things like water, black coffee, maybe unsweetened tea. And following that, you have an 8-hour window where you eat all your meals for the day.
Could you maybe paint a picture? Like, what do those 8-hour eating windows actually look like in someone's day-to-day life?
Absolutely. So a really common one people find works well is, say, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
This basically means you're skipping a traditional breakfast, but having lunch and dinner within that time frame.
Got it.
Another popular option is maybe 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
That allows for, an earlier lunch and dinner.
For its different schedules.
Exactly. And then for people who prefer eating later, maybe a 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. window could work. The crucial thing, really, is finding the window that fits your individual lifestyle and sticking with it, consistently. Consistency is key.
When you first hear fasting, I think a lot of people immediately think of deprivation, of restriction. But that doesn't quite seem to be the main idea here, does it?
No, and you've hit on a key distinction there. It's really less about denial and more about setting up a defined structure for when you eat,
Okay.
which naturally gives your body periods of rest.
Yeah.
By concentrating your eating into that specific time frame, you're not necessarily eating less food overall, although that can happen, but you're being more intentional about when you fuel your body.
Okay, so we've got the, 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating. Let's dive into the why. What are some of the, let's say, tangible benefits people might actually experience if they adopt this pattern?
Well, one of the first things many people seem to notice is a bit of a lift in their energy levels and improved mental clarity.
Interesting.
What seems to be happening is that when your body isn't constantly working on digestion, it can kind of redirect those resources elsewhere, including the brain.
Right.
Plus, you often avoid those big blood sugar swings that come with eating constantly through the day. So you get fewer of those afternoon energy dips, maybe more sustained focus.
So potentially waving goodbye to that 3 p.m. slump. That sounds appealing. What other kinds of effects might someone observe?
A lot of people report things like improvements in their digestion
Yeah.
and noticeably less bloating.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, giving your digestive system a regular extended break allows it to sort of recover and function more efficiently.
Makes sense.
And that can translate to less discomfort, maybe fewer stomach aches, and a decrease in things like gas or indigestion. It's like giving your gut a chance to reset itself each day.
Less bloating, definitely something many people would welcome. Now, weight management often comes up when people explore different eating styles. How does 16.8 typically play into that?
Yeah, the impact on weight can often be a sort of natural side effect. By narrowing your eating window, you might find yourself just consuming fewer calories overall, even without drastically changing what you eat.
Right, just less time to snack.
Exactly. But perhaps more importantly, during those fasting hours, your body tends to switch towards using stored fat for energy. This isn't just about willpower, it's actually driven by hormonal shifts and the timing of when you eat, or rather, when you don't eat.
So it's not simply about the total calories, but the timing actually encourages the body to tap into fat stores.
That's interesting. What about blood sugar? That's a big topic these days.
Yes, stabilizing blood sugar is another key potential advantage. By having those longer breaks between eating, your body gets a better chance to manage glucose effectively.
Okay.
This can lead to fewer cravings, maybe more stable moods, and potentially over time a reduced risk of developing insulin resistance. This could be particularly helpful for individuals who are, say, pre-diabetic or know they have some insulin sensitivity. It's like giving your system more consistent signals instead of constant ups and downs.
It sounds like it fosters a more balanced internal state. You also mentioned earlier about bringing more intention to eating.
Mm.
How does 16.8 tend to shift our relationship with food itself? Yeah, this touches on mindful eating, really. The 16.8 structure can kind of encourage a greater awareness of true hunger signals versus just eating out of habit or boredom or stress. When you have that defined window, you naturally become a bit more attuned to your body's signals during those eating hours, and maybe less likely to just snack mindlessly throughout the entire day. Over time, this can help build a less emotional, more conscious approach to food.
It sounds like it helps us reconnect with those basic hunger and fullness cues. Okay, let's dig a bit deeper now into the how behind these benefits. What's actually happening inside our bodies physiologically during those 16 fasting hours?
Right, so there are several important things going on. Hormone regulation is a big one, as we touched on. During fasting, insulin levels tend to drop.
Which helps with fat burning, you said.
Exactly. And at the same time, we often see an increase in human growth hormone, or HGH.
HGH, what does that do?
Well, think of HGH as part of your body's repair crew. It helps with fat loss, but it also plays a really important role in preserving your lean muscle mass and aiding tissue repair.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the body releases norepinephrine. That's a hormone that can boost alertness and also helps mobilize stored fat to be used for energy.
So it's like a whole cascade of hormonal adjustments triggered by not eating for a while. What about how our bodies actually use energy during this time, the fuel source?
Yeah, that's a key part. What's really fascinating is the switch in fuel. Normally, when we're eating regularly, our bodies primarily burn glucose from carbs.
Right.
But during fasting, once those readily available glucose stores are used up, the body starts to switch over to burning fat for energy instead. This ability to switch efficiently between fuel sources is called metabolic flexibility.
Metabolic flexibility. Oh,
Yeah, it's like having a hybrid engine that can run well on different fuels. It contributes to more stable energy levels and supports fat loss.
I've also heard the term autophagy mentioned in relation to fasting. Could you break that down for us?
Autophagy, right. Essentially, it's your body's internal recycling and cleanup process. Yeah, think of your cells doing a kind of deep clean. They identify and break down old, damaged, or dysfunctional components within the cells.
Okay.
This process is believed to have quite a few potential benefits. Things like cellular repair, supporting immune function, maybe even playing a role in protecting against aging and certain chronic diseases. Fasting appears to be a pretty potent way to stimulate this vital cleanup process.
Wow. That sounds like some serious internal housekeeping. And what about the broader impact, like on inflammation or maybe even longevity?
Well, some research suggests that intermittent fasting can help lower markers of inflammation in the body. Since chronic inflammation is linked to so many health problems, reducing it could have wide-ranging positive effects.
Makes sense.
And furthermore, fasting seems to activate certain cellular pathways that are associated with longevity and healthy aging. So there are hints it might have benefits for a longer, healthier life, though more research is always needed there.
This all sounds quite promising, but it's really important we present a balanced picture, isn't it? Are there specific groups who should be particularly cautious about trying 16.8 or maybe even avoid it?
Absolutely. That's crucial. While 16.8 can be a great tool for many, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution. There are certain situations where fasting might not be advisable or at least requires extra care.
Okay, let's start with women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. What are the main concerns there?
Right. So during pregnancy and breastfeeding, the body's energy and nutrient needs are significantly increased. You need to support the baby's growth and milk production.
Fact.
Restricting food intake through fasting during these critical times could potentially interfere with milk supply, maybe disrupt important hormone balances, and could lead to fatigue or even nutrient deficiencies for both mother and baby. Generally, consistent, adequate nourishment is the priority then.
That makes complete sense. The focus has to be on providing enough fuel and nutrients. What about people who have a history of disordered eating?
This is a really, really important point. For anyone who has struggled with conditions like anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, or even just has a history of, obsessive thoughts or anxiety around food,
Yes.
intermittent fasting could unfortunately be triggering. The structure, the rules around eating times, even if seemingly simple, could potentially reinforce restrictive thinking, obsessive patterns, or unhealthy behaviors. Healing one's relationship with food should always, always come first in those situations.
That's such a critical warning. Mental and emotional well-being is paramount. Are there specific physical health conditions that warrant extra caution, too?
Yes, Definitely. People with diabetes, especially type 1 or type 2 diabetes requiring medication like insulin, need to be extremely careful
Why is that?
because fasting can significantly impact blood sugar levels. It would require very close monitoring and likely medication adjustments, all done under strict medical supervision. Similarly, individuals with other conditions like, say, low blood pressure, thyroid imbalances, adrenal fatigue issues, certain chronic illnesses, or those who are underweight should also exercise caution and absolutely consult their doctor before even considering intermittent fasting.
So the big takeaway here seems to be talk to your doctor,
Uh-huh.
or perhaps a registered dietitian before starting 16.8, especially if you have any underlying health conditions or you're taking medication.
Precisely. Your individual health situation, your history, your needs, those should always guide any decisions about changing how you eat. Professional guidance is key.
Right. Now, for those who, after considering all that, do decide that 16.8 might be right for them, and they get the, okay, what are some ways to make it sustainable? To make it part of a lifestyle, not just another diet they try and then drop.
Yeah, sustainability is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the most important things is probably aiming for consistency over perfection. Life happens. Occasional deviations, days where the schedule gets thrown off that's completely normal and okay. The real focus should be on establishing a regular rhythm that fits into your life most of the time, rather than beating yourself up over imperfections.
So it's about the overall pattern, not stressing about every single day being identical.
No.
What else helps make it stick long term?
Well, integrating 16.8 with other healthy habits can really boost the benefits and make it feel more natural. Things like prioritizing good quality sleep, that's huge. Staying properly hydrated, obviously. Incorporating regular, gentle movement or exercise you enjoy. Even just getting outside in nature can help regulate your body's rhythms and manage stress.
It sounds like it works best when it's part of a bigger picture of well-being, not just this isolated eating strategy.
Exactly. And another key part of sustainability is learning to listen to your own body. Rigid rules can be tough to maintain long term. It's much more helpful to stay flexible and really pay attention to your body's signals. Some days you might feel great fasting for 16 hours, maybe even a bit longer naturally. Other days, based on energy levels, stress, maybe your menstrual cycle for women, you might need to adjust that window. It's about developing body intelligence, not just following a strict external rule.
So it's also a bit of a journey of self-discovery, learning what feels right for you at different times. And the mindset should be long-term focused, right? Not a quick fix.
Absolutely. If you go into 16.8 thinking it's a magic bullet for rapid weight loss or something, you might get discouraged. It's much more effective to view it as a gradual shift, a lifestyle adjustment aimed at things like sustained energy, simpler eating habits, maybe a better connection with your body's natural rhythms over the long haul.
Okay, so someone's listening, they've considered the cautions, and they're thinking, all right, this sounds interesting. How do I actually get started? What are some simple, practical first steps?
Right. The very first step is usually choosing that 8-hour eating window. Like we mentioned earlier, those popular ones, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. It might take a little experimentation to see which one feels most natural and fits best with your work schedule, family life, social commitments.
And what if jumping straight into a 16-hour fast feels a bit, well, intimidating?
That's totally fine. And actually, it's often a good idea to ease into it gradually. You don't have to go full 16.8 on day one.
Okay.
You could start with maybe a 12-hour fast and a 12-hour eating window, 12.12, or perhaps try a 14-hour fast with a 10-hour eating window, so
Yeah.
14.10. Just give your body some time to adapt before pushing to the full 16.8.
That makes sense. We talked about hydration earlier, too. How critical is that, especially during the fasting period?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. You really need to make sure you're drinking enough fluids, especially during the fast. Plenty of water throughout the day. Black coffee, unsweetened tea, herbal teas, those are generally fine too, and can sometimes help manage hunger pangs. Just be really careful to avoid anything with calories during that fasting window. No milky coffee, no juice, etc.
Got it. And flexibility probably worth hitting that point again.
Definitely. Don't feel chained to the clock. If you have a dinner party or brunch invitation or just a day where you feel you need to eat earlier or later, it's okay to adjust your window. Remember, consistency over the long run matters more than perfect adherence every single day. Don't let it add stress to your life.
Right. It should simplify things, not complicate them. So those are good starting points. What about actual strategies to help people succeed with 16.8 long term?
One thing that can be really helpful is keeping track of your journey somehow.
Tracking, like calories.
Not necessarily calories, unless you
Well,
want to, but more tracking how you feel. Maybe use a simple journal or a note on your phone or even just mental check-ins. Notice your energy levels, your sleep quality, any cravings, your mood. This self-awareness is really powerful. It helps you see what's working and keeps you motivated.
Kind of like creating your own personal feedback loop. Good idea. What about making it fit into a busy, sometimes unpredictable life?
Yeah, back to that flexibility point again. It's so key. Don't feel guilty if you need to shift your window. Maybe your work schedule changes or you're traveling. Just adjust accordingly. The aim is to make 16.8 fit your life, not force your life to fit some rigid schedule.
Late night snacking is such a common habit. How can 16.8 help with that? Or what strategies work there?
Yeah, avoiding late night snacks is often a big win with 16.8. Usually by the time your eating window closes, say 8 or 9 p.m., you're done eating for the day. This helps break that cycle of habitual snacking before bed, which often isn't driven by real hunger anyway. It can improve sleep, make the fast more effective, and help with insulin regulation. If you feel the urge, try replacing the snack with a calming evening ritual, like a cup of herbal tea, reading a book, maybe some gentle stretching.
Good alternatives. And finally, what's the key to staying motivated if things get tough or progress feels slow?
Really understanding your personal why. Why did you want to try this in the first place?
Okay.
Take a few minutes, maybe even write it down. Are you looking for more energy, better digestion, a simpler relationship with food, managing blood sugar? Whatever your reasons are, keep them front and center. Revisit them when you feel your motivation dipping. Having that clear purpose makes navigating the day-to-day so much easier.
That makes a lot of sense. We've covered a huge amount today. And like anything popular, there are always myths and misconceptions flying around. Let's tackle a few common ones about 16.8. I often hear, skipping breakfast is bad for you.
Ah, yes, the breakfast myth. It's a really persistent one, often rooted in older dietary advice and maybe some marketing too.
Right.
But actually, current research on intermittent fasting suggests that skipping breakfast within the context of an overall healthy diet and a defined eating window like 16.8 doesn't necessarily slow down your metabolism or harm your health. For some people, it might even improve things like insulin sensitivity. What really matters most is the overall quality of your diet throughout your eating window and your total daily intake.
Okay, so it's not inherently bad. Another worry people sometimes raise is muscle loss. Won't fasting make me lose muscle?
That's another understandable concern, but it's largely unfounded with structured intermittent fasting like 16.8. Significant muscle loss really only happens in prolonged starvation or severe extended calorie deficits. That's not what 16.8 is. Remember, we talked about human growth hormone. HGH levels actually increase during fasting, and HGH helps preserve muscle tissue. So as long as you're eating enough protein during your 8-hour window and ideally doing some resistance training, your muscle mass should be well protected.
Good to clarify. And lastly, the big one. Some people equate fasting with just starving yourself.
Yeah, and that's a complete misunderstanding. It's crucial to differentiate between intentional, structured intermittent fasting and actual harmful starvation.
How so?
Starvation implies an involuntary lack of food, often leading to malnutrition and severe health problems. Intermittent fasting, like 16.8, is a conscious, planned approach where you're consuming adequate calories and nutrients just within a specific time frame each day. As we've discussed, there's a growing body of research suggesting potential benefits from this structured eating pattern, from cellular cleanup via autophagy to better metabolic health. You're definitely not starving. You're timing your meals strategically.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. So, to try and wrap this all up, what are the main takeaways we want listeners to keep in mind about the 16.8 method?
I think the core message is that 16.8 is fundamentally a simple rhythm, a pattern of eating and fasting. It's not necessarily extreme, and it can offer a range of potential benefits, things like improved energy, better digestion, maybe some natural weight management, more stable blood sugar, and perhaps a more intentional way of relating to food.
And it's really about finding a sustainable rhythm, not about rigid rules or deprivation, isn't it?
Exactly. It's best viewed as a flexible lifestyle approach, one that encourages you to listen to your body's natural cues, aiming for long-term well-being rather than a quick fix.
And the crucial reminder for everyone listening who might be thinking about trying this.
Please consider your own individual health situation. It's always wise to chat with your doctor or a registered dietitian before making significant changes to how you eat, especially if you have any pre-existing conditions, take medications, or fall into those groups we mentioned earlier, like pregnancy or breastfeeding.
Absolutely essential advice. So as you reflect on everything we've discussed today, maybe consider this. How could incorporating a more natural rhythm of eating and fasting potentially create more space in your life? Not just logistically in your day, perhaps, but maybe also space for your body's own innate processes to function at their best. What might a personalized eating window look like for you? It's definitely food for thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.